B-roll, crowded airport terminal, wide shot, people rushing, signs flashing, noise everywhere. You used to love flying. You remember the feeling, the anticipation, the excitement of boarding a plane and knowing an adventure was waiting on the other side. But something has changed. Pause. Maybe it's the noise. Maybe it's the crowds. Maybe it's the fact that your knees ache by the time you reach your gate, or that you stepped off a 4-hour flight feeling like you'd run a marathon. And the worst part? You thought it was just you getting older. Pause. It's not. There's something nobody is telling you. Something the airlines know. Something airport designers know. And something doctors have been quietly documenting for years. Flying isn't the same experience it was 20 years ago. The industry has fundamentally changed, and it's changed in ways that specifically, disproportionately, affect passengers over 60. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why your body and your mind feel the way they do at 30,000 feet. And more importantly, you're going to have real practical strategies to change that experience completely. But first, there's one hidden factor behind all of this. One thing that sits underneath every single discomfort you feel when you travel. And it's something almost no one talks about. We'll get to it. But let's start at the beginning. Section: The Big Misconception. B-roll, passenger looking tired in airport seat, soft lighting. Most people assume that flying gets harder as you age simply because your body gets weaker. That's the story we tell ourselves. Aging equals decline. Decline equals difficulty. And yes, your body does change over time. But here's the real truth. The actual reason flying feels so much harder right now has very little to do with your fitness level, and almost everything to do with the modern aviation industry itself. Think about this. In the year 2000, the average airplane seat was about 18 inches wide. Today, that average has shrunk to 16.5 inches. That is almost 2 full inches of space gone. Legroom has dropped from 35 inches to as little as 28 inches on budget carriers. Pause. These aren't small changes. These are engineering decisions made to pack more bodies onto every single flight, and every single one of those decisions compresses, stresses, and exhausts the human body more than ever before. Add to that the fact that airports have expanded dramatically. The average walking distance from the check-in desk to a departure gate at a major international hub is now over half a mile. At airports like Heathrow or Dallas-Fort Worth, it can be close to 1.5 miles. You're not imagining it. You genuinely are walking further, sitting in tighter spaces, and breathing recycled air longer than any previous generation of air traveler. But here's where things get interesting. Section: What's actually happening to your body at 35,000 feet. B-roll, airplane wing at altitude, clouds below, golden light. Your body at cruising altitude is under quiet, invisible stress that most passengers, young or old, never fully understand. The cabin pressure inside a commercial aircraft isn't the same as sea level pressure. It's typically set to simulate an altitude of between 6,000 and 8,000 feet. For a healthy 25-year-old, that's manageable. For someone over 60, especially anyone with heart, lung, or circulatory considerations, the impact is measurable. Here's your first "I never knew that" moment. At that simulated altitude, the oxygen saturation in your blood can drop by 3 to 4%. That doesn't sound dramatic, but it means your heart is working harder, your brain is getting slightly less fuel, and your body is subtly fatigued the entire time you're in the air, before you even factor in the stress of the airport, the disrupted sleep, or the time zone changes. Pause. And the humidity? The humidity inside a commercial aircraft cabin averages around 10 to 20%. For context, the Sahara Desert averages 25%. You are sitting in an environment drier than a desert for hours at a time. Your nasal passages dry out. Your skin dries out. Your eyes dry out. The mucous membranes that normally protect you from airborne viruses and bacteria dry out. This is a documented medical reality, not an exaggeration. Now add to that the dehydration that happens because most passengers don't drink nearly enough water on flights. Alcohol and coffee, two of the most popular in-flight beverages, are diuretics. They accelerate dehydration. The flight attendant brings you a small cup of water once, maybe twice. B-roll. Close-up of a water glass on a tray table, condensation on the outside. Your body is being quietly depleted the entire journey. And if you're over 60, your body's ability to regulate fluid balance, adapt to pressure changes, and recover from physical stress is simply not as fast as it once was. That's not weakness, that's biology. But here's what most people don't realize. Knowing this changes everything about how you prepare. Number D. Section the 3 invisible traps that make every flight worse. B-roll, long security line, overhead view. There are 3 specific traps that older travelers fall into, not out of carelessness, but because nobody ever explained the mechanics of what's happening. Trap 1. The early arrival illusion. You arrive 3 hours early because you want to be safe. Smart, right? In theory, yes. But here's what actually happens. You check your bags, clear security, and then spend 2 to 3 hours sitting in a hard plastic chair in a noisy, overstimulating environment. Your cortisol, your stress hormone, starts climbing. Your body, which has been inactive in a stressful environment, begins stiffening. By the time you board the plane, you're already fatigued. Imagine instead arriving 2 hours before, moving through the airport efficiently, and spending your wait time near a window with natural light, standing or walking gently rather than sitting static. Small shift, enormous difference. Trap 2. The I'll sleep on the plane strategy. WPAS. This one is almost universal, and it almost never works. Sleep on an airplane requires a combination of darkness, stillness, silence, and physical comfort. Modern aircraft provide none of these reliably. Cabin noise sits between 75 and 85 decibels, comparable to a busy restaurant or a lawnmower. Seats recline barely 2 inches on most economy configurations. For passengers over 60, whose sleep architecture has already shifted, meaning you naturally sleep lighter and wake more easily, the airplane environment is practically designed to prevent real rest. The result? You arrive at your destination having neither fully rested nor fully stayed awake, a strange foggy half state that can take a full day or more to recover from. Trap 3. The compression trap. Nansetannis. B-roll. Airplane interior, narrow aisle, overhead bins. Deep vein thrombosis, DVT, the formation of blood clots in the deep veins, typically in the legs, is a real and documented risk of long-haul air travel. The risk increases significantly with age. But even on shorter flights, the simple act of sitting immobile with your legs bent at a 90-degree angle in a confined space slows circulation dramatically. What most people don't realize is that you don't need a long-haul flight for this to become a problem. Even a 2-hour flight can cause enough fluid accumulation and circulatory slowdown to leave your legs feeling swollen, stiff, and painful for hours after landing. The fix exists, it's simple, and we'll cover it in exactly 1 minute. Section. What the airlines won't tell you, but experts know. B-roll. Airport lounge, calm environment, soft music implied. Here is where everything changes. The strategies that make flying comfortable after 60 aren't secrets exactly, but they're also not things you'll find printed on a boarding pass or announced over the intercom. Hydration is your single most powerful tool. Begin hydrating the day before your flight, not the morning of. Drink water consistently in the 24 hours leading up to travel. On the plane, aim for at least 8 ounces of water per hour. Avoid alcohol entirely during the flight if you want to land feeling like a human being. The one drink isn't worth the 2 days of fatigue that follows. Movement is medicine at altitude. Every 60 to 90 minutes, stand up. Walk to the back of the plane. Do 10 slow ankle circles in each direction. Stand and shift your weight from foot to foot for 2 minutes. This simple routine dramatically improves circulation, reduces clot risk, and keeps your joints from stiffening into the shape of your economy seat. Compression socks, specifically designed for travel, have been clinically shown to reduce the risk of DVT and swelling on flights. Wear them every time, no exceptions. Pause. Request what you need before you need it. This is the insider strategy that most travelers don't use. Airlines have aisle seats with movable armrests, called aisle accessible seats, which are specifically designed for passengers with mobility considerations. They're not always advertised. You have to ask. Call the airline directly when booking. Explain your needs. These seats exist on almost every major carrier, and they make an enormous difference. Wheelchair and mobility assistance at airports is available to anyone who requests it. And here's the critical detail. Requesting it doesn't mean you can't walk. It means you get to move through the airport in a way that doesn't exhaust you before you've even boarded. Use the system. It exists for you. Section: Why this actually matters more than you think. B-roll: elderly couple watching sunrise from a hotel balcony, warm light. Here's the psychological truth underneath all of this. When flying feels hard, when every journey leaves you depleted and aching, you start to make a quiet calculation. Is it worth it? And slowly, not all at once, but slowly, travel starts to feel like something that belongs to younger people, like something you're aging out of. Pause. That calculation is based on a false premise. The difficulty you feel isn't inevitable. It isn't your body failing you. It's an industry that is optimized for profit at the expense of passenger well-being, combined with a lack of information about how to protect yourself within that system. The research is clear on this. Older adults who continue to travel report significantly higher levels of life satisfaction, cognitive engagement, and emotional resilience than those who stop. Travel isn't a luxury for the young. It is, for many people, the thing that keeps them feeling alive. You haven't aged out of adventure. You've just been flying without the right information. Number Section: The one thing to take with you. B-roll: airplane ascending through clouds, sunlight breaking through. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember this. Flying feels harder now partly because of your body, but mostly because the aviation industry has changed in ways designed to extract maximum profit from minimum comfort. Understanding that isn't pessimism, it's power. Hydrate the day before. Move every 90 minutes. Wear compression socks. Request what you need. Arrive ready, not already exhausted. Pause. These aren't workarounds. They're the toolkit of every experienced traveler who refuses to let a cramped seat and recycled air stand between them and the world. The runway is still yours. Bumper B-roll: departure board flipping, destination scrolling, Paris, Tokyo, Buenos Aires, Cape Town. If this video gave you something useful, something you'll actually use on your next trip, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need this information. And if there's a destination you've been putting off because travel feels too hard, drop it in the comments. You might be surprised how many people are planning the same journey. The world isn't going anywhere, and neither are you. Pause. See you up there. Be on Jingard. Subscribe, watch next video.